Well, hello everyone. I appreciate everybody stopping by for this DCO live tonight. Guys, again, I really want to thank 13th Century Whiskey for sponsoring this DCO live tonight. If you guys don't know about 13th Century Whiskey, go over to 13thcenturywhiskey.com and check out their entire lineup of whiskeys. They are absolutely fantastic. Um, if you don't know where to pick up 13th Century, go over again to 13thcenturywhiskey.com and check out their store locator right here. And if you punch on that, that'll tell you right where to go here in South Carolina, North Carolina, Nebraska, and Colorado and Texas. So, guys, go over there and check them out. And again, I really appreciate 13th Century for sponsoring tonight's DCO Live. Everett, great to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Tonight, I've got a couple of things that I want to get to, but of course, this is your show. So if you guys have any questions, throw them into the chat box and I will get to them as they pop up. Excuse me. So let's start with one of the first questions that I got was, hey, why did you put in a new camera angle? Uh, so I got a lot of good positive feedback for the new camera angle that is mounted behind me and kind of given that front perspective. And I'm still working out a few little bugs. The last time that I was out, matter of fact, the video that's going to be coming out um, either, I think it's going to be Saturday morning, I think is when I'm going to get it done, or sometime Saturday or even Sunday. I don't have that view because, again, I'm working out a few little bugs and some battery issues and things like that. So, but hopefully my next video, I've got a new camera, a new external battery pack, and I worked out those few little bugs. But, I wanted to add another camera angle to give a little bit different perspective. So, yeah, that's the whole reason why I did it, just kind of evolving the channel and giving you guys, kind of my perspective fishing and what I'm really looking at instead of just the chest cam. But I will be using the chest cam also, and then a forward facing cam that is shooting back towards me. So those are the three cameras I'm running right now. It's a long way from when I started 4 years ago, where I actually had my cell phone mounted on a backpack right in front of me, right on the chest. So when you go from a cell phone to running three GoPros, it's we're evolving and we're moving right along with the channel. So guys, it's all because of you, and I really appreciate you guys. So let me go ahead and oh, Everett liked it. Hey, I appreciate that, buddy. Let's jump right into one of the comments that I got this week, and it was, how do I get into tournament fishing and what gear do I need? So let's talk about getting into tournament fishing first. He watched my last, well, it wasn't the last, no, it wasn't the last video. It was 2 weeks ago, where I was fishing the LKA Redfish Championship. So getting into tournament fishing is something that I did several years ago, and I didn't know anything about it. I was scared to do it. I was nervous to do it. I would follow these guys who were in these kayak tournaments, and it looked overwhelming. So what I did is I joined KBF, so Kayak Bass Fishing, and you can follow them on, if you just Google KBF, or they have, a Facebook page. I'm sure they're on Instagram. But they have a monthly state tournament that they hold every month. And basically, it starts on the first of the month. Let's just say this is November. So on November 1st, the tournament will start and it'll run through the last day of November. So that would be November 30th. And for KBF, it's a 5 fish limit. It's all bass. And so you go out fishing anywhere you want to fish. It has to be public water. Anywhere you want to fish. And then when you catch that fish, you take a photo. You submit it onto the software that they give you, which is Fish Chaos. You just download it and you take a photo, submit the fish, you release the fish, you upload the photo, and then it keeps a tally of how long you fish are, and then it's an aggregate length at the end of the month. So whoever has the most inches at the end of the month wins, and they have prizes and things like that that they give out for each state, and it's a lot of fun, and it really introduces you to the tournament side and how to take that photo and make sure that you have the identifier on it. And so I'm going to share my screen here real quick because I want to show you. So this is the fish that I caught, the redfish, in the tournament. And so the gentleman's second question is, what gear do I need? Really, the only gear specific that you need for these tournaments is a specific measuring board. This is an aluminum catch board. And the way you find out what kind of measuring board is legal is you have to read the rules for the tournament, and it'll tell you what board you can use. Either a hog trough, a catch board, maybe a Yakut board. It'll tell you exactly what they allow and what boards you need. Pretty much every kayak tournament I've been in, they allow the catch board. So that's why I use this aluminum catch board. So besides the catch board and a cell phone to take your pictures and upload onto the software, that is all you need. I'm assuming you have all the fishing gear and a kayak to go out and get started. But as far as specific gear for a tournament, that's it. That is all you need. Now, I have this little clip that holds my identifier number. That's really cool to have, and catch boards have those, and you can get these pretty much anywhere. But yeah, this will have you, when you go out, you catch a fish, you learn how to do that. You learn how to hold on to your fish so he doesn't flop out and jump back into the water. So, you just learn how to lay him on there, hold on to him, take a picture, submit it. That's what I would do. And then once you start feeling comfortable and you get a couple of months under your belt and you take 10, 15 pictures and submit and you learn how to do it, you'll become really comfortable, and then you can start to kind of go out and find these tournaments where you want to fish. All of these local tournament trails, the Port City Kayak Anglers has a tournament trail. They have bass fishing, and I think next year they're going to start a saltwater series. Low Country Kayakers, the PD Kayakers. So all of these kayak associations have these tournaments, and you can get into those, and it's all the same. They upload the same. They may use a little bit different software. Some use Fish Chaos, others use TourneyX, but they're all the same. Okay, you take the picture, you hit submit, you tell them what kind of a fish it is, what size it is, you submit it, and it goes right in. So, and it automatically culls your fish. So if you catch a 15-inch bass and then the next one is a 17-inch bass, you submit the 17 and it'll kick out the smaller fish. So that those apps in the software will automatically cull out your smallest fish, and you don't have to worry about that. So that is something that is absolutely fantastic, that just kind of takes that off of your plate. So as far as gear goes, that is really it. Don't be afraid to get into these tournaments. Everybody is a beginner. I was a beginner. I have lost fish. You guys have seen that in my videos. It happens to everybody. Just go out, meet the guys, have some fun, and get into it. Once you get into tournament fishing, it's really different because you have to make, I'm going to call it, quote, game day decisions when you go out there. Yeah, you can pre-fish all the way going up, but if the weather changes and all of a sudden you get a cold front push through, you have to adapt, and that's where your fish skills really come in to play. And there are a lot of good anglers who can adapt on the fly and can really hone in on fish, especially on the most adverse conditions. And that's what really sets them apart, is those game day decisions that they make during the tournament. But don't be afraid to get into these tournaments. Okay? So again, guys, if you have any questions, throw them up in the chat box. I will get to them. And so, yeah, even if I am discussing something, don't be afraid. Throw it up there into the chat box, and I'll get to you. So moving on, I want to talk about a situation that happened to me on Monday. So on Monday afternoon, I was lucky enough to go out and do a little bit of fishing. The first half of the day on Monday, it rained. So I got rained out of work. I got home maybe, I'm going to say like 11:30, and it was still raining a little bit, but it was starting to clear off. So I went ahead and I loaded up the kayak and I went out fishing. And so I was, the tide was rising. I was probably midway through the tide, and I went south in Murrells Inlet. So I'm fishing this creek, and this creek is only probably, I'm going to say maybe about 30 feet wide. You could have probably have put about 3 of my kayaks end to end and touched, shoreline to shoreline. It's only about 30 feet wide. And I'm going up into this creek, and the water was a little bit murky, and I'm standing up and I'm doing some sight fishing. And because I wanted to have every advantage, to try to find some fish because of the murky conditions. It just got done raining. It wasn't really windy, but there was just enough chop on the water. I was looking for some wakes or some, bait blowing up or some shrimp popping and things like that. So I was the only one out there. I was looking around, standing up, and all of a sudden I turn around back towards the mouth of the creek, and there is a 24-foot charter boat. He had his trolling motor down, and he was coming up in the same creek that I was in. So I scooted off to one side. I let him pass me. I kind of, gave him a little wave, smiled, gave him a little wave. And, I've got him on video, but I'm not going to share it because I don't think that would be right. But he went up past me maybe about, I'm going to say 30 yards. And he spun that boat around, did a 180 so that he was facing back out towards the creek mouth, and put his trolling motor on spot lock and sat right there. Now, guys, I would be lying to you if I said that I wasn't upset. Yeah, I was pretty mad. I just backed out of that creek, spun around, and went fishing someplace else. Because one, when he passed me, he spooked all the fish in that creek going over. And two, when he spun that big boat around in that real narrow creek, anything that was even in that creek is now gone. So 2 weeks ago, when I talked about approach, that was absolutely the wrong way to do it. And I even addressed that for guys who own boats, is start approaching way down, 100, 150 yards down, put the trolling motor down, stay as far back as you can from your area and start fishing. Well, he basically spun on top of the area that he was fishing. So yeah, he pretty much wrecked that entire area. So what I did is I just kind of went back out. I crossed one of the main creeks. I went up into another creek. And again, I was still standing up and, fishing, doing some sight fishing. excuse me, and about 10 minutes later, I turned around because I was still in that same area, and that charter boat left that creek and buzzed off to another area. He fired up the big motor and buzzed off to another area. Now, yeah, after 10 minutes, he wasn't going to catch anything. There wasn't anything that was going to be, calmed down enough where they were going to start catching fish. But yeah, guys, as far as fishing and boat etiquette, I am not a big proponent of that. If he would have just trolled on past me and went up into that flat and started fishing, you know what? Fine. Murrells Inlet is a big area. He can go and do that. I could have continued to go up that creek and went off to another branch, but guys, boat etiquette is really big. And again, I just waved, gave him a smile, hey guys, how you doing? But to say that I wasn't upset is an understatement because, I felt like he could have went a different direction and he definitely didn't have to blow out that creek and do what he did. So, I wanted to one just kind of point that out because it's still just kind of grating on me a little bit, just to kind of get something off of my chest. And then also talk about approach. When I'm approaching an area, I come in slow, silent, and if it's a creek mouth or a creek, I am making as long of a cast that I can make to stay away from my target so I don't spook these fish. So if there is a school, I can stay back as far as I can, keep that school intact, and hopefully pick off a couple of fish. So, approach is everything. I'm going to say the way you approach a spot has got to be, I'm going to say 75% because the other 25% has to be your casting distance. So, approach casting distance, and then once you catch a fish, you back off. So my ABCs or my ACBs, I just wanted to kind of touch base on again. Tyler, hey, nice to see you, buddy. Not going to name any names, but there is one charter I have two similar run-ins with. Oh, in the last 2 months, they amaze me sometimes. Yeah, I usually stay away from the charter guys because they are, out there trying to make a living. If I see them fish in an area, I turn around and I completely stay away from them. If I see them coming into an area, I did it down in Charleston one time. Matter of fact, it was during a tournament. I was fishing a dock and a charter came in. It was, it would have been 2 docks down, and he came in and anchored up. Well, I was going to work those docks. Well, he anchored up, so I went ahead and I changed my plan. It's not that big of a deal. It's fishing. I get it. Those guys are out there making a living. Okay, I'm not. I'm out having fun. But etiquette goes both ways. It really does. So, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and so take it for what it is. John said, surprised that a charter guy did that. Sounds like somebody I wouldn't want to waste my time and money to charter. I'm not saying you don't book these guys. Sometimes you just have a brain fart and you do things without even thinking. But I mean, he was so close to me when he passed me. I could have reached out with my rod and actually touched his boat. He was that close to me because, again, that creek was only, I'm going to say 30 feet wide, and that's all it was. But we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the next question that I've got written down, or the next comment. So the next comment I got was actually a really interesting one. And I've never been asked this before, and I needed to do a little bit of research to find out what the right answer was. So the gentleman asked, "What is my opinion on using drones to find fish?" Okay, now I knew that when I brought this up, this was going to be a hot topic. Okay, drones, the forward facing sonar, that kind of stuff. This is the hot topic in fishing, but I want to stick with drone fishing. So in South Carolina, right now, the research that I have done, there are no laws that says that you can't put up a drone, seek out fish, and go find fish. Now, if there is a law, I can't find it. If that is something that you guys are going to do, I would contact a DNR officer and find out, because I looked and I looked and I couldn't find anything about drones and fishing. I know that there are no fly zones in areas, and that would restrict you from putting up a drone in some areas, especially like in public lakes. There's a lot of lakes that don't allow drones being flown around. So that would be the one thing, is no fly zones. And one thing that I did find out about South Carolina is you can't use a drone to harass wildlife. So you can't find like a small herd of deer and take your drone down and buzz them and fly them, and scatter the herd. That I know you can't do. That was really the only thing that I can find. And if anybody knows of a law in South Carolina prohibiting using drones and fishing, please let me know. But I thought it was very interesting. Now, in North Carolina, it's a misdemeanor if you use drones to fish. So, North Carolina, yeah, you can be fined for using a drone by taking up a drone, flying it around a marsh system, looking for a school of fish, and then going over there and fishing that school. That's what I mean by using a drone to fish. Okay. So, again, guys, I don't know. I couldn't find anything. I spent a lot of time reading regulations and trying to find regulations on drones, and I couldn't find it. So if somebody could point me in the right direction, or if there's a SCDNR officer who wants to contact me, I'd be more than happy to get that information out to you guys. But for right now, I don't know if there's a law. So if you're going to do it, just be very careful. I know I have been out in Murrells Inlet fishing, and there have been drones that have hovered above me. Now, whether they are, just taking pictures of me fishing, or if they're actually looking for schools of fish, I don't know. It's a little bit annoying, to have that drone right above me. But, again, just watch for no fly zones. As far as my opinion on using a drone to find schools of fish and then going and fishing those schools, me personally, I would never do it. It completely takes the skill and the fun out of the way that I fish. I want to learn fish behavior, where I can go find fish. I want to try to put patterns together. So I wouldn't fly a drone, look for a fish, and then go hunt that fish down. And, oh, yeah, that fish is 2 creeks off to the left. I'm going to go over there and catch that fish. I would never do that. So, there was a comment that put up there that just says, kind of takes the skill factor out, in my opinion. Yeah, that's kind of the way that I feel too. But there are also a lot of guys who say that, this is the next wave of technology that's coming into fishing. Forward facing sonar is a technology that guys are using to catch more fish, and a drone is a way to catch more fish. So, it's a double-edged sword. In my opinion, I I'm never going to use them. I'm never going to use it for that. I do know I had a gentleman reach out to me that wanted to take drone footage of me fishing so that I could incorporate that into my videos as like B-roll. You know, maybe some cool aerial shots, and then maybe an aerial shot of me, you know, pedaling out to an area, which I still may, you know, catch up with that gentleman and have him do that one day. But that would be the only thing that I would use a drone for. You know, I just wouldn't use it in that other aspect. So that, I thought that was a very interesting question, and I wanted to kind of throw that one out there. So again, guys, if you know of a law, please pass that along. So it's coming up on 8:30, so let's talk a little bit about the weekend fishing. And I will share my screen with you guys. So let's take a look at Saturday and Sunday. So right now it looks like, let's take a look at the tides first. So it looks like high tides are going to be early in the mornings. You know, Saturday looks like about 8 o'clock, Sunday about 9 o'clock. Excuse me. And the full moon is on Friday. So we're going to have some pretty big tides. So on Saturday, we're looking at about a 6-foot tide. So from 8 a.m. until about 3 o'clock, we're going to go down to a negative tide. And that's going to be due to the full moon. It's going to drag out a lot of water. And the same thing on Sunday. It's going to drag out 6 feet of water in roughly about 6 to 7 hours. So you're talking a foot of water per hour. So the middle of the day, right here in the middle of this water column, that current is going to be ripping in Murrells Inlet. So just kind of keep that in mind. I would be fishing. So if I was going out this weekend, and I am going to fish in the morning, because around the top of the tide here, the current is not going to be very strong. There's going to be a little bit of current on either side, which is great. But, you know, that's where I want to fish. So with it being the top of the tide, my plan would be move on to the flats, to work the flats, and then throw popping corks around some grass lines. During November and December, I love throwing popping corks around the grass lines for trout and redfish. I'll use like a cupped popping cork or the egg shape, and maybe use 12 to 18 inches a leader and put a little shrimp on the bottom of it, either a Voodoo or the new Z-Man Prawn Star. I think that would work great, or whatever your favorite shrimp lure is, maybe a Savage Gear. And pop those right along the grass lines at high tide, and even kind of throw it up into the grass and pop that, because that's where those fish are going to be moving into, because all the bait, all the shrimp is going to start looking for protection, especially at high tide. So get up into those grass areas. And then if you're looking at the low tide areas, go all the way in the backs of these creeks. You kayak fishermen, go to the backs of these creeks where there's less than a foot of water. You're going to find the redfish back there. The shrimp haven't moved out yet. The water temperature on Monday was 70 degrees. Now it's going to come down this week. It's probably, especially with the wind coming from the northwest and this big of a tide, I'm going to call it a mini dump. And I bet you the water temperature is going to drop a good 5 degrees. I bet you by this weekend, the water temperature will be 63 to 65 degrees. So that is going to be awesome. The trout ought to start getting fired up. Usually the trout are starting to get fired up kind of the beginning of November. It's a little bit late because the water temperatures are still a little bit warm, but the trout are there. So I think this little bit of a dump in this cold front that is moving through, I think are going to fire it up even more. So that's what I would do. And the guys, again, if you're hunting reds, go into the backs of these creeks, especially the little small shrimp are not going to move out quite yet. The big shrimp, they're going to move, and they're going to start moving out into the deeper water. But the little small shrimp, like I was seeing Monday, stuff that was an inch or less, and there are small shrimp back into those creeks way back there. those redfish are still just going to be just chowing down on that shrimp. And that's what I would be looking for here at low tide. So push back into those creeks, pull those pedal drives, paddle back there. Don't be like me. There are times that I get really lazy and I don't want to pull my pedal drive, but pull the pedal drive, move back there. Those redfish are going to be back there just chowing on the small shrimp. So grass lines, flats at high tide, and then down around low tide, I would still be pushing back into some of these creeks. And some of them are still going to have a little bit of water in there, but just explore and look for those reds because that's where they're going to be. So, guys, I hope that helps you out. Hunter, good to see you, bud. Is there any new regulations or what? Any new regulations for what? I'm not exactly sure what regulation you are looking for. So if you're asking about fish size or what you can keep per day, no, there are no new regulations on those right now. And I haven't heard of anything coming down the pipe yet. So I think everything for 2025 is going to stay the same as it is in 2024. But then again, you never know. The government's the government. They could throw something out there, but I haven't heard anything of any type of regulation change when it comes to reds, trouts, flounder, black drum, sheep's head. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. So, okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I will see you guys next week. Again, I really appreciate you guys. I do have a few more hats left. I've only got maybe about, oh gosh, 5 or 6. I haven't been really advertising them very much, but again, if you guys want to support the channel, a hat is a great way to do it. And so, guys, I really appreciate it. And, I just don't pocket that money. I put it into new gear like these external batteries and new GoPros because the salt water, they just wreak havoc on that equipment. So, guys, I really do appreciate it. And there was a gentleman who gave me a very generous donation last weekend, and I can't thank him enough. That was unexpected, but again, it's greatly appreciated. And that's part of the reason why I know I haven't brought this up in a while, but I will never have a Patreon page, like a monthly membership page. I will never do that. I don't think you guys need to pay a monthly subscription to chat about fishing and get ideas. So I'll never do that. You guys work too hard for your money. I work too hard for my money. If you guys, want to support the channel, I would rather, give you something like a hat. I do have stickers, or, if you guys just feel like, just being charitable and wanting to give like a super chat or super thanks or something like that, it really is greatly appreciated, and thank you so much. So, guys, I appreciate it, and again, I will see next week because that'll be the week before Thanksgiving. And then Thanksgiving, there will not be a DCO Live. I will be with my family, and hopefully you guys will too. But guys, until then, I will see you next week. Get out on the water. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Catch some fish, share them with me, share them with your buddies, and get out on the water. Thanks, guys. I will see you next time.